Good afternoon once more again, and warm welcome to C20 Connection. Connecting the world to you and connecting you to the world. My name is Nukumashid, your guide to this C20 Connection. Our guest today is Dr. Malusi Mncube from UJ. Good afternoon and warm welcome.
Good afternoon, Sanbonani, Dumelang Kaufela. Elements, good afternoon.
Recently, you were part and parcel of the G20 launch and dialogue. And what is amazing is that you did comment. And during your comment, you have indicated that there are missing words. Can you kindly tell us what are those missing words that you found out during the presentation of the panelists?
Once again, thank you very much for your invitation for me to be able to dialogue right now in real time with the viewers and listeners. The G20 preparations, it was actually provincial dialogue, critically important. I believe that the job of scholars, the job of intellectuals is always to challenge events, to challenge authority, not to be of servitude to them. We must challenge because we are the conscience of the people of the world, of South Africa and of Africans. So what was missing is we need to hear more and more robust engagement, not psychopathy just saying anything any leadership in the world, including South Africa, says must go unchallenged. No. We're in danger. We are seeing genocide happening in real time, right? Children being genocided and they cannot do anything about it. So what's the use of my education if I do not speak for the children, if I do not become the voice of the voiceless? I am today because of what I am today because of other people. There's nobody who's totally independent. We are all interdependent on one another. That's why we need more voices. Absolutely.
Viewers at home, let me just remind you what the doctor has said. The doctor spoke about racist, and I want him to clarify it better and share with you today. Doctor.
The C20 delegation made very intelligent, very important contributions. Very important. I learned a lot myself. But I thought one of the themes in their contribution that was missing is the issue of racism. The whole idea that Africa was colonized, it's a historical fact. It was colonized by white colonialists. We cannot shy away from that. It's a historical fact. So racism, right from slavery, colonialism, and neocolonialism today, pervades all the political, economic systems of the world. So it's a theme that should have been, and I would love to heavily persuade C20 to make sure that racism is there, meaning that the black body was othered. Anybody who has a black body who's black like me, who is not as white as Joe Biden, who is not as white as Donald Trump, who is not as white as Netanyahu, those are not seen as people. This is a historical fact. It's a fact even up to now. We have constitutions all over the world that were based on racism, where other people stupidly thought they were better than other people in superior sense. So that is an evil that is integrated into the whole economic system of the world, and that is one system we must fight day and night. Dare not ignore it. So it's a theme I would love C20, the theme of racism. It must be highlighted at all times, and anybody or any economic system globally, continental or in South Africa, that pushes the system of racism, we must make them very uncomfortable. I, for one, will make them very uncomfortable.
Now, tell us, since you were part and parcel of the audience or the participants, obviously you have heard our Sherpa, when he was doing the presentation, what did stand for you when you listened closely about the C20?
C20, just probably to also help the viewership and the listeners. So C20, basically, it's an aggregation bringing together of civil society here in South Africa. So that's what that label really means. And what he said was spot on. What I was happy about is we're taking agency into our hands. That is critically important. Governance is not only about the elite at top, right? Governance, it's about our lives, our ideas, about imagination. Gone are those days whereby just because we voted you there, just because you think you're a minister of this, you are a president of this country, and we're going to swallow everything you say, hook, line, and sinker, then the next thing, there's this shenanigans, monies are missing, funds are missing, development for these elites all over the world, South Africa included. If you look at development, for them, it's so fast. They have everything, blue lights, black cars, nice houses, best schools for their children, all that. But when it comes to the ordinary people like you and me, Nuku, it takes time. They always tell us, these things take time. So what was missing is the agency now must also be taken to other proper places. And one of the reasons I brought about is where the money is made. For instance, in South Africa, the money, the policies of the money, amongst other organs of the state, they are debated and made in commercial banks and in the Reserve Bank and the Treasury. Now, so youth groups, civil society groups, they must be there. So that organizational structure, we do not have to be following organizational structures of the neo-colonialists. No, we can invent our own thing. China became a superpower in 40 years, not because they were following systems of neo-colonialists like America or England. They did their own way according to their heartbeat and according to their culture. So what I would like to say to C20, your ideas, don't be afraid to test them, because other people, they come and threaten you and say, hey, I've got a PhD from this university overseas or from England or from... No. If you're open-minded and you're always prepared to learn and you are committed, test your ideas. It doesn't mean when you form policy and you implement it, it happens at the same time. So I would love to see C20 sit in the Reserve Bank. I would like to see C20 sit in the Treasury, sit in the commercial banks. And when I'm talking about sitting legislatively, mandatorily, not just one, you are just invited, so that you know the ins and outs, so that you debate the financial policies that are driven by the Reserve Bank, by the commercial banks, that are driven by the Treasury. You are there. And actually the black majority, I repeat again, we must not be apologetic. Black majority, abantu abamnyama, batu babantu, black swarte mense, we must be the majority in those boards, because we are the majority. And that doesn't mean we're against anybody else. No. Our institutions must reflect the majority, the black majority nature of South Africa and of Africa. So much pain has happened to black people, and people want to tell us what to do in our continent. We have the intellectual capability to make the correct things and to make the right things. It is our yard. It is our backyard. It is our ancestors' land. They must not tell us what to do about it. I'm sick and tired of that myself. We will make our own rights and we will make our own wrongs. Thank you.
This is C20 Connection. To engage in this conversation, please dial 067-267-3103 and share your views. Dr. Malusi Mncube.
Yes, my brother.
What do you understand by the word Sheba? I hope you're not thinking of something else.
Okay, all right, okay. The generic term Shepa, I'll spell it out for the viewers and listeners, is SHERPA. basically it was borrowed, it crossed the border from, it's a generic term, from mountaineers, from those who like hiking, guides around that area. So it has crossed over, it has enriched the revolutionary environment, which is what we're talking about C20. So basically a Sherpa, right? So that people properly hear, and I've spelled it out, I'll spell it out again, SHERPA. A Sherpa is basically a guide, a facilitator, a central network who makes sure that everything, the mandate is followed and the key result areas, the objectives are attained. So you can simply call a Sherpa a manager. You can simply call a Sherpa a facilitator. You can simply call a Sherpa a leader who has to make sure that the mandate and the objectives of a particular organization or a particular family, it's attained and reached. If there are problems in between, they can intervene and all. So that's what the word Sherpa is. And I just want to quickly say something. Igama lami Malusi. My name is Malusi. Mr. Lakaki Malusi. Malusi basically means shepherd of the sheep, the one who looks after sheep. Umalusi wami. You know, if you go into gospel songs, you know they sing about somebody. They say ubani umalusi wami. So I'm actually thinking of the word shepherd, and the spelling is almost the same. So in English, umalusi, it's shepherd, the one who takes care. Right. So shepherd, there's a bit of commonality there. So that I've said that so people don't forget. So I've used it as an example. So a Sherpa is a facilitator, a leader, and one who makes sure the mandate and the objectives of an organization, a family, is reached. That's what a Sherpa is.
You are quite right. For obvious reason that our Sherpa, when he did his presentation, he first started by narrating a story of him together with his wife when they were hiking, and then where there was this guy who took care of him from the beginning until to the end. So you're quite right. You and our Sherpa, you eat the same bread in terms of explaining what does the Sherpa mean.
The vibe that I got last week, actually, when you were saying it very beautifully, is he was doing more by the persuasion of his wife. I got the feeling like, okay, I don't want to do this, but because I love my wife, I will do it for my wife. So hence he had to become a shepherd. So it looks like in front and behind of every successful man, there is a woman. There is a goddess. Absolutely.
Going forward, what are some of the things that you believe you can share with us as part and parcel of your contribution towards the solution or towards building these policies that we're going to put together as C20?
I think immediately, and with little I know about C20, but let me say ideologically how they are placed and how they are pivoted right now, and with what's coming up, the G20, because they do underpin the G20, which is a group of 20 countries that's going to be taking place. These are high-powered countries in South Africa in November. So in terms of their positionality, they are correctly positioned. And obviously, other ideas that I can contribute, they'll come when we get more into action. Because I can be as theoretical as I want to be, organizational and otherwise, but I think so far they've done well. And so far now, the proof of the eating is in the pudding. Like one of the speakers said, we have to walk our talk. As we walk our talk, we will be making the mistakes and we'll be making the right things, both pros and cons. So when we begin to see the cons, or the challenges rather, this is when we start improving. But the way they are placed right now, C20, I think it's a great thing. And when we begin to take action, because November is not, it's just around the corner, it's not very far. So the more we engage, and like you've already invited me to take part, so I think it's a really beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing for me to be black, to be African, to be making an intellectual contribution. I grew up in a generation where we were not allowed to do these things. So, hey, Mr. Nuga, I brag about it very openly so that our black children know that we have it here, proudly so, and they must contribute. And it doesn't mean when you contribute, everything you say is right. You will make mistakes. And when you get corrected, and when you correct me, Mr. Nugu, or whoever corrects me, I'll proudly go back to the drawing board and fix it. But I want our children, I want the viewership of Africa and the listeners of Africa and globally, Africans all over the world and progressive human beings, no matter what race you are, that us black people, us Africans, you see, we are contributing to a global idea. C20, civil society, it's a global idea. And it has to do with policy, influencing, advocacy, and we are there. And we are not going anywhere. So I'm proud about that. I'm happy about that.
Thank you so much for honoring this interview, Dr. Malusi Mncube. We really appreciated your insight and inputs. What message or what can you share or leave us with so that we will take home as a food of thought?
Thank you very much. Nyabong. Thank you, Mr. Nuku, for inviting me. That is very great to me, to the staff and the leadership of C20. In African culture, we have a saying, Ubuntu. Ubuntu means umuntu ngomuntu ngabantu. I am because we are. Nobody can do it on their own. And having said that, to see the culmination of G20, it is the resistance of our ancestors in Africa, in the diaspora all over. So we want to remember them, those who contributed, from Malcolm X, from Marcus Garvey, to all our fighters here in Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, Nyerere, those who are alive today, Dr. Arikana Chombori, Dr. Uma Johnson, everybody who has played a part and keeps on playing a part, because Africans face an existential crisis. There is definitely a policy by neo-colonizers to depopulate and to exterminate Africans from Africa so that they take over Africa like they did Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and America. And we will not allow that. So everybody stand up, regardless of our mistakes, regardless of how we fight on social media, whether you are from Egypt, you are from Nigeria, whatever. But at the end of the day, after our fights, we must know that we face an existential threat. And as Africans, let's come together. Let's pray and work for peace in the DRC, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, all over Africa. And let's think globally. Let's make Africa a global superpower, much better than America or any other power. We can do it as Africans. We can do it as black people. Amandla!
Away to
Ilizwe! Africa! Africa will be great. Will be a world superpower forever and ever. Pagaiman ma Africa.
Africa year 2. To watch this show, go to C20 South Africa on all social media platforms. Or you can also go to our website, which is c20southafrica.org. I thank you and goodbye.